Ah yes, the age of streaming. What started as the transition from cable and Blockbuster and Redbox to, well, what now seems like endless streaming options with monthly or yearly fees tacked on. As an effort to stand out from competitors and draw audiences to their platforms, exclusive movies and more preferably bingeable shows have been the norm. Netflix has had some of the more mainstream successes like Stranger Things and Wednesday, and followings for cartoons like BoJack Horseman. So when it comes to Our Flag Means Death, I will lightly cover character dynamics, but I don't think I'll go into spoiler territory as we're not analyzing the show in great depth. If you've never heard of Our Flag Means Death, despite its cult following, that's totally understandable. Season 1 was an exclusive to what used to be HBO Max, and Season 2 was released on Max, and I know not everyone watches these streaming services. Secondly, it hasn't been heavily advertised or promoted by Max, which isn't uncommon for shows that eventually get the axe. But if you have seen it, then you might know it for the gold that it is. It's a period piece dating back to the golden age of pirates, and using real-life pirates such as the notorious Blackbeard and lesser-known Stede Bonnet, the gentleman pirate. There is a big focus on the relationship between these two and the relationships within their crew. In fact, there's so much LGBTQ+ representation in this show, to which it's received heavy praise. But this show isn't all just romance and drama. There's great humor, action, stunning sets between the different boats and islands. The costuming department really knows what it's doing too, and the overall plotlines and writing make it really special. But mostly, it presents questions and curiosity about life and being who you are, and explores heavier themes of both trauma and heartbreak. I'm personally a big Taika Waititi fan after being exposed to his work through What We Do in the Shadows and Jojo Rabbit. He plays the role of Blackbeard and also works as an executive producer on the show alongside David Jenkins. Rhys Darby portrays the co-leading man of Stede Bonnet, and together the two have a dynamic that's been compared to Shakespearean. I mean, the dynamic of two leading men is quite fun, and I don't think it's explored in media enough. Also, a character I believe deserves a shout out is Jim, portrayed by Vico Ortiz, is actually quite a favorite of mine. They have some great lore behind them and a great non-binary representation, and just generally fucking badass. I wish I could touch more on each individual character, but I'll keep the video moving. All in all, there obviously is so much love put into this show from the whole cast, and it was really fun watching behind the scenes as the show was in production from some of the social medias of the cast. But it's not just the cast that loves this show, the fans really fucking love this show. Some of the most beautiful fan art I've ever seen created has come from this show. Now, with all that being said, why did this show get cancelled as of January 2024? Was it the budget? Did a creator piss off an executive? Was it scheduling conflicts? Or were they just sick of having a beloved LGBTQ+ show on their platform? Well, your guess is as good as mine, because in the statement released by both Max and David Jenkins, the executive producer, there's not much to unpack. It's just cancelled. But if we're being real, it's almost always a budget thing. It's public knowledge that season 2 of the show received budget cuts, and there's heavy speculation that the show probably just wasn't bringing in the numbers that Max wanted it to. Now, here's where I find problems that make me rather frustrated and annoyed. Entertainment is a huge market. Streaming platforms, both Max and its competitors, are competing for your business. They want your hard-earned money to go to whatever's in their catalog of movies and TV shows. To succeed at this, they make deals with the studios and try to get some of the more desirable and popular movies and TV shows, but exclusivity is king. If you can only get it on their platform, then that's what they want. Which is why different platforms have had a number of originals over the years, from live-action shows to animated shows and movies. When it's done right, it really does rope people in. But not every show is going to reach levels of mainstream popularity and high viewership that something like Stranger Things achieved. A huge, loud fandom and mainstream recognition, record streaming numbers, merchandise that can be found on store shelves, that level of success. So then, after starting these projects and using them as a way to advertise their exclusive platforms, executives may see later on that it doesn't bring in the numbers they want, so they just cut the show as a whole. A big, emphasized fuck you goes out to Netflix for the way they handled Inside Job, for example. Modern adult animation can be pretty hit or miss, but I like the concept of conspiracies, government lies, and lizard people. It took a stab at social commentary and parody, but at the center of it had a female main character who was dynamic and flawed, but likable for it. And it was the creator Shion Takeuchi's first show, and she worked alongside big industry name Alex Hirsch, creator of Gravity Falls. It seemed like the show was set up for success. With its animation style, concept, and character dynamics, Inside Job started actually gaining a fan base, especially around the airing of the second season. There was a lot of fan interaction and praise online, and audiences were especially excited for season 3, and then they fucking cut it. Another similar case is Close Enough, created by J.G. Quintel, the creator of Regular Show. There was a rather large waiting gap between each season as it is animated, but I eagerly awaited because I adored the show. It's an adult cartoon about a millennial couple, their daughter, and friends, and each experienced some of the absurdities that you'd find on Regular Show, but through the eyes of rather adult problems, like being a parent, nostalgia, and the working world. I'm gonna go ahead and quote this Reddit post because I think they worded it best. This is in reference to why Regular Shows succeeded and why Close Enough was cut off Max. It's strictly because of the difference between their largest cartoon channel promoting Regular Show as their baby and HBO Max treating animation as if it's something to be embarrassed about, throwing it away when they lose interest. I'm almost sure that if Close Enough was released in the early 2010s on Adult Swim, it really would have popped. I love Regular Show, but you can tell JG really grew as a storyteller and writer between shows, specifically by the fact that not every episode is the same in terms of the setup, reveal, and payoff, but rather each episode being its own story to tell while still pulling off the old formula well. And lastly, we'll circle back to another live action show, Santa Clarita Diet. It's a show about a real estate couple, but one is a zombie trying to figure out some sort of cure. It has a good mix of horror, comedy, and genuine family moments, not to mention a stacked cast. Just like the other shows mentioned in this video, it also built up a strong following, and ended on a wild cliffhanger right before there could be a season 4, which is probably the worst way to end it. It had so much unrealized potential and momentum going, and it still infuriates me to this day that it was cancelled how it was. Because of its large following, people still very much hope for a revival. In the case of this cancellation, Netflix was pretty upfront about it being budget related, as Netflix's head of original content, Cindy Holland, stated it's a combination of things. When we're investing, we decide how much to invest based on the audience that will show up. If the audience doesn't show up, we think about the reason to continue to invest in something that doesn't do as well as we had hoped. Critical acclaim is important too, but we're really about trying to stretch our investment dollars as far as we can and make good on our investors' money. It's theirs, not ours. According to CBR.com, in the 4 years after 2019 when Santa Clarita Diet was canceled, Netflix turned an annual profit of $9 billion and then $12 billion each successive year. These streaming services, giant multi-million-dollar companies, keep adding more shows but not investing in the ones they have. In the case of Inside Job and Close Enough, both were cancelled, but both Netflix and Max are notorious for being the land of shitty adult animation with some of the ugliest and most uninspired adult animated shows. That's what I don't understand. If it's a budget issue, then why not shut down some of those productions and work on things that have a positive audience response instead of just canceling things that people have already invested time into and grown to love? Do they just not care about the audience experience? Like, they'll boast these shows in their catalog, but when season 2 ends without closure, well, go fuck yourself and start a new show while you're at it. Like, are they just wanting to bloat their categories and make it seem like there's so many shows to choose from with quantity over quality? It's the lack of wanting to invest in the creatives behind these shows and prohibiting growth that just makes me lose any respect. Like, if it really is a budget thing, some of these subscription costs are the highest they've ever been, and the Netflix CEO's net worth is $4.1 billion. I just find it hard to believe that there really is no room in the budget for these creative projects. I just feel really dumbfounded here, and I know I'm not alone. When shows are abruptly cancelled without reason, there's outcry. Like, back to Our Flag Means Death, many have expressed their disappointment and rage with the decision to cancel. Hashtag Save Our Flag Means Death has been going on this past month with billboards and some petitioning it to move platforms, but sometimes that can be sticky legally if the original streaming service owns rights to the IP. But it's still kind of ongoing, so I guess we'll see what happens. I've expressed the importance of entertainment in the past. TV and movies can be sources of escapism, inspiration, and happiness. Sometimes shows have a valid reason to come to a premature close that isn't due to being cancelled for budget reasons, but it's really a case-by-case thing. It's satisfying when shows get just the right amount of seasons to finish off their plot lines and develop their characters enough, and more importantly, give closure to the audience. Other times, shows go on way too long when honestly maybe 1 or 2 seasons would have sufficed. All this to say, there's projects with passion and artistry, and unfortunately the capitalistic side of the industry prevails over art. But tell me what you think. Are these cancellations justified? Have you yourself had a show you love get absolutely curb stomped into deletion? Let me know, and thank you for watching.